Hi, everybody. Welcome to today's program, Taming the Email Beast, specifically for Gmail users. Now, if you happen to be watching this on my YouTube channel, you're probably going to see some commercials. And one of the things that I wanted to share is that if you would prefer to see this commercial free and get access to a whole bunch more content, maybe consider coming out, checking out my e-learning channel. I'm hoping a few of you are seeing this actually through my e-learning channel. And if you have already purchased the Taming the Email Beast course, I just recently did a bunch of updates to it, and now there is a lot more content. I think it said that there's 39 potential lessons in here. Although, as you see, so much of it is bonus material, bonus videos, articles, PDFs. So you could really build your own self-study program and turn this into basically an email mastery course, regardless of whether you're using Gmail or Outlook. Although I will say this, if you're an Outlook user, you might definitely want to take a look at this and possibly the closely related optimizing your Outlook program, which is all about how to do your time and project management. So please excuse me for my little intro commercial. Let's get into this. And one of the things I'm going to say is, regardless of where you come from on this, what I might say is, in this format, consider just sitting back and enjoying this program right now. Soak it in. And what I'd encourage you to do is sort of watch for the master overview of everything that we're talking about, and understand the bigger picture strategies before diving too deep into the techniques. Because remember, this is a recording, which means you can go watch it again. And on time number 2, you can use the pause, rewind, fast forward buttons to get to the specific tips and techniques that you really want to master and practice them as you do it. It might be a great time to set up the dual screen monitor with me on one screen and your Gmail on the other screen, so you can get really, really good at this. Now, for those of you that don't know a lot about me, I am Randy Dean. I am popularly known, oh, that's sort of funny. It looks like I almost did that on purpose. Hey, I am popularly known as both the totally obsessed time management guy and the email sanity guy. And just sit back, you're going to get a lot of tips here. We're going to go way deeper into some of the stuff than most of you have probably done. And hopefully it's going to just give you some ideas on how to get your Gmail under control, how to be much more efficient, how to use it better, and make it truly a productivity tool again, rather than that thing that's getting in the way of your productivity all the time. A little background about me. I've been actually speaking on this professionally for 17 years now, if you can believe that. And before that, I actually had done training for the companies I worked for that was also, another about 15 years or so. So, this has been sort of my passion, my obsession, and I sort of turned my obsession into a profession, and you're going to get the benefits of that right now. So let's dive in. First thing I do when I do my live programs, like I said, this is a recording. I like to ask the audience and have a little fun with them. I like to ask them if they've made a poor career choice. And what I then say is, how many hours a day are you spending on your email? Reading them, responding to them, administering them. Now, I want you to think about that for yourself right now. How many hours a day? And what's going to happen is, many of you are probably answering 3, 4, 6. A couple of you might be 7 or 8, maybe a little more. Some of you only 1 or 2. And the 1 or 2, you're the people that make good career choices, because the actual average is just a little bit more than 2 hours per day. But now get this interesting following statistic. I've been asking this question for the last 17 years. How many of you before today have had a formal strategic level email management course? Now, of course, you've been to one of my courses, you've had the course. But if you've never been to one of my courses before, there's a very good chance that you haven't had formal training on how to better use your Gmail. And what's interesting is, you've got a lot of company. I'm seeing 90 to 95% of my audience members previously having no training whatsoever. So basically it's like, here's your email, good luck to you. Figure it out on your own. And the problem with that is, that means you picked up maybe some decent tips And maybe you've picked up some things that aren't terribly good habits that are actually causing you potential rework and distraction and clutter. So we're going to highlight some of those and try to make you better at this whole thing. All right. So diving in, I like to always start off with this little comment about, I'm going to make myself a little bigger here. This little comment that there's 2 ways that your email basically owns you. I actually think there's 4, by the way, 4 ways. Number 3, which isn't on the screen, you can see it's checking far too often. We'll talk about that in a minute. Reading your messages over and over again, sort of doing nothing with them. And number 3 is all the mess and clutter that you have. Now, one of the interesting things is I actually have a YouTube cheat sheet for my channel. And I provide it to people that attend my live programs, watch my recordings, etc. If you'd like to get access to that, I would encourage you to just send me an email and put in YouTube PDF maybe in the subject line, because what'll happen is I'll give you that. It's like a 4-page document with listings of all of the videos I made, including, listen to this closely, a video on how you clean up your inbox efficiently, regardless of whether you use Outlook or Gmail. That'll show you how you can speed up the process, so you don't have to look at each and every email, especially if you have thousands. There's a few of you out there. The other one that's in there that might be interesting is how to clean up the stacks, piles, and clutter in your workspace and office too. And you want to know what the secret weapon is in that little job? A few of these. So if you're interested, go check those videos out, because I don't go too deep into clutter management. I'm going to talk about file management, but I'm not going to get too deep into clutter management, because I know I have those resources, and I'm going to point you there if that's one of your key ways that you're being owned by your inbox. Number 4, I'll save for the end, because it has something to do with what a whole lot of people do with email that I think just lets them right off the wrong path right at the start of the day. So we'll talk about that a little bit later, but let's go back to these ones. 1, you're checking far too often. Statistics I've seen, the average professional email user looks at their inbox about 17 times a day, but about a quarter of you look at your inbox anywhere from 20 to 40 times a day. Wow. I mean, that's every few minutes. And oh, wait, do you have one of these? These things are great. Smartphone, tablet. The average owner of a smartphone or tablet looks at that anywhere from 50 to 150 times a day. Can you say squirrel? Squirrel, we're surrounded by this. And that's just, email, smartphones, text messaging, IMs, phone calls and interruptions. We've got all this stuff and it's hitting us all the time. And the problem is, if we're looking at these things way too much, it's going to obviously cause distraction. We'll talk about that in a minute. You know what else you're doing? You're reading the same messages over and over and over again, basically doing nothing with them. And now let me explain to you what I mean when I say that. The statistic I saw is that the average professional email user looks at each and every email they receive, on average, between 3 and 7 times before they take a smart and appropriate action with that email. Let's take a look why. And now we get to go see my Gmail for the first time. Who's jealous? Yes, it's down to 3. And I left those in here specifically so I'd have something to show you. Okay, now since we're in here, let's do a little bit of housekeeping. I'm gonna make myself a little bit smaller here. What I want to do is talk a little bit about a couple things right here on the base screen that are very important. Now, obviously, you got your folders, which are correlated with your labels. More about that a little bit later. Over here, you've got your Meet capabilities if you're using Google Hangouts Meet, or you can set up a new meeting, and you've got some of your people that you interact with pretty regularly right down here. You've also got your social tab and your promotions tab. I'm going to focus on the primary tab. Stuff sometimes gets put into these. You do sort of have to check them once in a while. Notice I got 50 in my promotions. It's mostly junk and other stuff, but I still check it once in a while just in case something from one of my business partners or clients happens to accidentally get put in there. Now, what I also wanted to share is this. Take a look over here on the side. They've added something. Now, these top 3 have been here for a while now. Calendar, Google Keep, which is Google's version of OneNote, and the Google Tasks capability and function. But notice that just a couple months ago, they added this button in, which they've been needing to add for a while, in my opinion, contacts. So notice that you can actually add in a contact panel and go right to your contacts or your calendar or your notepad in Google Keep right here, as well as your tasks. Now we're going to cover this a little bit more later, but the one thing that I wanted to share with you, which is pretty cool, a couple of these features, calendar, keep, and contacts specifically have what I call a pop widget. And what the pop widget does, if you click on that, it opens your stuff in a full page view. And it works in keep, it works in contacts, and it works obviously in your calendar. Now, the interesting thing though, is they used to have a full page manager of tasks in here, which they, well, wait a second. Let's go into tasks and just make sure. Yeah, they took the pop widget away for some reason, but I think I have a bit of an idea. I'll show you why. Notice that I've got email on one panel, calendar on the other, and look what this, I can put tasks as a side panel on both, and wait, and I can also obviously use my tasks using the Google Task app on here. I did make a video about using the tasks in Google Gmail and Google Calendar right there out on my YouTube channel. If that's an area of interest, I'd recommend go check it out to get some strategies for that. I'm not going to go too deep into that. I am going to show you something really important related to tasks and calendar and contacts just a little bit later in the program. Notice also up here, here is where you go to your settings. And we're going to talk about this later. They've sort of changed this a little bit. Notice they've added this quick settings, which is, I believe, mostly just sort of how it looks and feels. Notice that they also do give you the option for reading pane and conversation view right here. But if you remember the old settings, notice that now you can click see all settings, and it gives you back the settings that you were probably more familiar with if you're a longtime Gmail user. We're going to get in and talk about this quite a little bit later in the program, because there's some real good stuff hiding in here. The other thing that I wanted to show you right here is this thing I call the Google Rubik. And it's basically, why do I call it Rubik? Looks a bit like a Rubik's Cube, doesn't it? I call it the Google Rubik because it's a launch pad for many of your Google apps that you're using frequently, including, look at that, calendar, contacts. Let's see what else we got in here. There's Drive, doc sheet slides. Yeah, a whole bunch of stuff that you use all the time. And you can actually do some customization of this. So it's got the apps that you're using most frequently. So that might be worth checking out a little bit too. And right here is your search options. And what that allows you to do, notice this, if you click on this, it brings up the same panel that we're going to see a little bit later when I go into filters and blocked addresses inside of here. And it gives you all of the search capabilities and options, you know, from, to, subject line, does it have the words, does it have big attachments, do I search everything, etc. So you've got capabilities inside of here that are going to make this work. And of course, over here, you can get into some of your settings. You can collapse your, you know, your labels and folder screen to make it to where it's more of a full screen option. And over here, all you have to do if you want to collapse this side is just click on the same button that you've already opened to make that work. Coming back to main menu, of course, wherever you see the plus, that's how you open up and make a new email. Bing. So really basic stuff to start, but maybe there's a few things in here that you haven't noticed or seen before. And what my first just single thing that I like to tell people when they're playing around with their software tools is get in and click and see what's hiding. See, like right here, I didn't even talk about this. That's refresh. This is select all, bam. But notice wherever you see these little 3 dots, click on this too. Now this one's only giving us mark all as red right now, but depending on where you're at and what screens you're using, there might be more features hiding in here. See, I actually sort of wish they didn't have the 3 dots, but they actually had the word right there more, because I think that would be a bit more intuitive for people. I think there's probably several of you that are watching the video right now that, well, I never noticed there was 3 dots right there. And it happens. Okay, so just like I said, some little bit of basic housekeeping at the start here. But one of the things that I want to share with you, which is really interesting, is why you're reading your emails over and over again. You tell me I'm wrong. Tell me if this is what you do pretty regularly with new emails that come into your inbox. I got this new email from this Randy Dean guy right here. Let me open this thing up and see what's going on. All right, let me read the, you know what? I don't really have time for this one right now. So once again, see the three dots? I'm going to come up here to the three dots and mark it unread. Look, now it's unread. Wait, no. You know what I would do even better? Because I'm a Gmail user. I'm going to come over here and star this one. So I know I got to come look at it again later. You do that? Either of those? Unread? Stars? Do unread or stars? Outlook users, you put on your little flaggies. And what did you just do? Well, let's break down what just happened by using those features. And you tell me I'm wrong. First, didn't you pretty much just guarantee that you got to look at that email again later? You just guaranteed it. Let me tell you where there's a dark, ugly side to this too. When you use the stars or unread as your way to manage your inbox, they're going to start to stack on you. And you're going to end up with a full screen of emails that goes off the screen pretty quickly. And those emails that go off the screen will never be seen or acted upon ever again. So the person sends you yet another email going, why didn't you get this done? And you start it all over again. Because what's happening is you are using tools that aren't terribly well built for productivity, prioritization, efficiency, and organization. Marking them unread and starring them goes against almost all that. Would you be interested to know, though, that there is another couple options inside of here that will make it much easier for you to see when emails truly are important or from important people? And, wait, will also allow you to process your emails in a way that you'll only look at them once, maybe twice max, and see the key priorities and things you need to do next much more clearly and easily, while helping you keep a very clean inbox. Now, I will admit, the new strategies will take a couple more seconds on the front end, but I think it's going to save you minutes, which turn into days, which turn into months of productivity, depending on how long your career is, of extra time. Maybe you could take a vacation, because you don't end up with the giant clutter bomb in your inbox where you're just looking at emails over and over, trying to figure out which one you should be looking at next. So that's why you're looking at them 3 to 7 times right there. I think that's a big part of it. Let's go back to that first thing though. You're looking way too much. Now, by the way, a little PowerPoint tip. If you're on screen, you can just do a shift function F5 and go right to presentation mode. How about that? One of the things that I wanted to share here is you're checking way too often. 17 to as much as 40 times a day. Wow. It's every couple minutes. I call this behavior blinging. Now, your bling has absolutely nothing to do with modern contemporary hip hop culture. I'm not talking shiny stuff. I'm talking about the little sound that your computer or your phone makes when something new comes in. Bling. And you'll see people, they'll be working at their desk trying to get a little bit of something done. Bling. Squirrel. Squirrel. You're just getting distracted. And I hate to tell you this, but there's a study I've been citing for about 10 years now. Institute of Psychiatry at the University of London found that people that were constantly checking email, voicemail, text messages throughout the workday when they are getting a heavy flow of those same set items, it negatively affects their short-term IQ by as much as 10 points, which is about the same as missing an entire night's sleep and more than double the 4-point drop you'd have after using marijuana. No jokes. Scrambles your brains. No offense to any of the marijuana users on today's call. I'm hoping that it is now in a legal status in your state or locale, like it is here now in Michigan, where we passed the referendum 2 years ago. Michigan, your new vacation destination. Can I make you feel better? Oh, I'm going to make the gentleman that I happen to be watching today feel a little bit worse right now, though. The same scientists believe that men suffer worse from this than women because men aren't as good at multitasking. We get even dumber. That's what happens when you're looking at your stuff all the time. But I know somebody right now is going, but Randy, the reason I'm looking all the time is sometimes I get really important emails. Sometimes they're really urgent emails, and sometimes they're from really important people. If I don't look, I'm going to get in trouble. I get that. I actually get that. That makes some sense. What I want you to do right now is do a little math in your head. Think about all the emails you're receiving, and you could even add in your text messages and IMs too. Everything that's coming in. What percentage of the total items coming in are actually truly important, urgent, or from somebody important? Now, when I ask this in my live sessions, once again, this is a recording. When I ask these in my live sessions, I will often get a big portion of the audience saying anywhere from about 5 up to about 20%. Every once in a while, I get a few people that are far north of 50%, 50% or higher. I'm going to talk about them in a minute. But most of the audience is 20% or less. Some will even put 1%. And what I would say is this: if you're looking all the time and you know that 80 to 95% of what you're looking at is not terribly important, and it's making you stupid by doing that, that's a problem. That isn't good. But did you know Gmail can help you? We're going to show you why in a minute. Now, let's talk about the people that have 50% or more of truly important, truly urgent, from truly important people messages. Guess what that probably means? You should probably be checking your email more frequently because you actually are getting really important and urgent stuff in there, and you need to keep up with it a bit more. So now the important thing though is, let me show you something here. Regardless, I think this can help anybody that's using Gmail regularly. So it's one of the first big key steps that I recommend that you do. And it's this: come in and actually go back up into your settings. Okay. And what we're going to do is we're going to go into see all settings like I showed you earlier. And I'm just going to jump by the general tab, which is usually the default where it opens up into. I'm going to come over here to my filters and blocked addresses. And let me show you what you do. Right from here, it's a really simple process. You put in, create a new filter. Now notice this, you can block addresses too. So keep that in mind, that you could actually block certain people from sending you messages. That frequent spammer that you tried to unsubscribe and it didn't work and it's all still coming in, nail them. Get in there, do it. Okay, but come in here to your create new filter. And I just want to do a really simple one. I'd like to know when this Randy Dean guy sends me a message. Okay, now that's it. It's that simple. Now notice I have a whole bunch of other stuff I could do, but I just want to know when this Randy Dean guy sends me a message. Create filter. Now watch what happens. Did you see what just happened in the background? All the emails from me to me just came in. It went in and pulled everything from me to me, which may seem a little bit crazy and weird, but let me show you step 2. Now notice that you have options. You could just have the messages from this person automatically get archived. They can get a label, which basically means that they are in a folder. We'll talk about that in a bit. That's a bit weird. It's a bit weird, but it's sort of cool. Notice that you could have auto deletion set up. You're not going to use the star option anymore. That's going to go away after today, I hope. But this is the one I want you to click right here. Always mark it important and hit create filter. So remember, I told it, if it's from this Randy Dean guy, I want all of his emails marked important. Create filter. And there it is. If it's from Randy Dean, mark it important. Now, that's not quite enough. You got one more step. Over here to the general tab. We're going to dive into this general tab a little bit later and some of the other spots in a little bit, but let's come down here just a little bit. I want to show you something. If I go down far enough, I can get to this right here. Desktop notifications. And look what I've done. Important mail notifications on. Notify me only when an important message arrives in my inbox. Do you see the two-step we just did? I tell Gmail who's important. And then I have Gmail tell me when important comes in. Now, wait a second, though. Remember with the filtering, you can also do it based off of subject line or has the words. It doesn't just have to be by the person. And what that means is that you can actually set up other messages that could be marked important. Now, here's an example I want you to think about. Let's say you work on a really close work group or team, and you have a meeting and say, hey, everybody, listen, sometimes we send truly important messages. Sometimes we send truly urgent messages. Sometimes our messages aren't that important or urgent at all right now. Everybody's got all of these different features and types of messages. What if we made a deal that if it's truly important, we will put in the word important right at the beginning of the subject line. And if it's truly urgent, we put like ASAP or urgent at the beginning of the subject line. And then all of us make a filter with the important desktop notification rule on so that those messages will pop. And that way we don't have to drive each other crazy with all of our emails. Now it's time for me to step up on my soapbox. If every message you send is marked important or urgent, none of the messages you send are important or urgent. Thank you very much. Now back off my soapbox. But do you see how you can actually make this work better with your work group or team? And it's all by basically getting good at helping Gmail tell you when the important stuff comes in. Now, let's go back to the presentation a little bit, because if you do that, let's talk about this real quick. If you set it up so that it does that, a little bit less squirrels, maybe you don't have to monitor so much. Now, you still might need to monitor it frequently, but maybe not quite as much, because now you know the important stuff and the important people might pop. Which means maybe you can get on a regimen for the rest of your messages, your typical average normal emails, to process those in a way that keeps you from having to look at them 3 to 7 times each. Now, I do want you to think about it. Now, one thing I'll just say this. Some people feel like they're forced to bling. And if you're in a situation where you think that you've got people in your supervisory chain that are making you look at your email way more than you think you really need to do the work you're supposed to do, share with them some of these ideas. Actually share it with them. Say, did you know that if I'm checking my email nonstop all the time, all day long, one, I'm not going to be able to get my work done, but two, it makes me stupid. But if you put, I'm going to make all your emails marked important so that I see yours quickly. Would that make it better? Try it, see what happens. And remember, if your mortgage payment's important and you know what I just said is not going to work, disregard what I just said and keep your job. But realize the jail that you've put yourself in. Now, coming back from this though, I just want to share with you this. This is what I want you to do with your typical average emails when you're on your regimen. Now let's talk timeout. Let's talk regimen real quick. Randy, what kind of regimen? Do you think we should look at our emails like every half hour, every hour? How often? I have no idea. That's up to you. I mean, if you're heavy client customer service or you're getting a really high percentage of important and urgent messages, you need to check more quickly and more frequently throughout the day. If, however, you're getting a relatively small percentage of truly important and urgent messages, and you have significant work that requires deep focus, well, then you check less. And you've got to figure out what the right balance is. I mean, somebody that's heavy client customer service might be checking as much as every 15 to 30 minutes, whereas somebody that's trying to do deep project management with deep focus on what they're working on, they might only check 3-4 times a day. Now, I will tell you this, you're only checking your email 3-4 times a day, and there's a lot of people in your office that are doing something very, very different. you might want to let them know that, because then they know that if they're sending something truly crazy, important, urgent, maybe they should actually pick up the phone and give you a call or send you a text so that you're more likely to be aware of it more quickly. Ideas. Yeah. You mean you can talk to people? Like legit, real? I know we've been in a pandemic, but yeah, you can get on the phone. Sometimes you can see them face to face. It's crazy, crazy thoughts. By the way, email's not great for difficult, complex, or complicated situations. That's where two-way discussion or multi-person discussion is better. Don't try to make email work for everything. I'd say the same for the younger people with their texts and IMs and TikToks. TikTok. Yeah. So now here's the thing though. You're going to get on a regimen for your typical average messages because your more important ones now might be able to pop. This is what I want you to do when you do your regimen. Now, if you want to know how you can get away with not having a real job for 17 plus years, make a slide like this, start showing it to people. Now, I want to walk you through this because by walking you through this, you're going to get a real understanding of how you can better manage your Gmail. So you got a new message, came into your Gmail inbox. You opened it. I think you just made a deal with yourself. And it's a very simple deal. Here's the deal. You can't stop looking at it until you make a decision of what you need to do with it next. What's the next thing you need to do with that email? And hey, if you're so busy, so crazy, so on fire that you don't even have the time to open the email and make a decision of what you need to do next, maybe you're too busy to be looking at your email in the first place. If the house is burning down around you, why are you checking your new messages? Now, I did have somebody say not too long ago, Randy, what if I'm checking my message to see if it tells me how to put out this fire? Okay, I'll give you some credence. What you see on the screen is not what you do in a crisis situation. If you're in a crisis situation, absolutely you can check your email, voicemail, text messages, IMs, whatever. You can check your inputs when you're dealing with an active burning fire. But you do something very different than what's on the screen. Listen to me closely. Go into your email, go into your voicemail, go into your text messages, scan the subject line, scan the username, scan the phone numbers, go directly to the item that is related to the fire that is actively burning right now and put out the fire. Don't get caught by anything else. You're going to get burned. What you see on the screen is what you do when the fires are temporarily put out until the next crisis du jour. That would be crisis of the day. Okay, so this is what you're doing in between those, in between the crises. And if you're going to open it, you're going to make a decision. Now, this is very similar to an old school information management strategy called the one touch rule, which I would say has now become the one touch, one look, one listen rule for, documents, e-documents and emails and voicemails. And it basically says this: if you're going to look at, listen to, or touch anything, you're going to make a decision the first time you look at it. And if you don't have the time to look at it and make a decision, maybe you shouldn't be looking at it in the first place. Now, there's a guy I've been following for the past 30 years. His name is David Allen. He ended up writing the book Getting Things Done, I believe, back in 2004. Actually, it was one of the inspirations for me to start my business was when I read that book. And I think he did a full cover-to-cover rewrite just a few years ago. Might want to add that one to your reading list. And those of you that are GTD devotees, you're going to see David Allen's shadow right here. He did something I think is brilliant. He took this old information management classic one touch rule and he put a time-based decision matrix on top of it. And it makes it almost diagnostic how you handle anything new. Here's what he basically said: get the new email, make the decision. And if it's quick, do those now. A couple minutes or less. Don't you dare keep them for later. Just get them done. What was that? Larry the Cable Guy? Get her done, right? Get it done. And there's so much logic here. Let me play out the logic. First, if you're not keeping the quick little things moving, might they not just stack up and bury you, especially if you're getting a pretty heavy flow? But here's the other thing. Not only will they bury you, the second problem, think about this. Quick little email just takes you 30 seconds to write the reply, or a minute to look up a piece of information, forward it on, or a minute to fill out the online web form and hit submit, or a minute to reply to that voicemail at a time when you know the other party cannot answer their phone, so you catch their voicemail too. Good tip. And you look at any of those things that I just described that each would take about a minute or less, but you save them for later and you end up looking at it 3 times before you actually do it. You just doubled how long it takes. You just doubled the length of that task by saving it for later. You're doubling your work and your effort when you keep the quick stuff for later. Don't keep the quick stuff for later. If it's quick and you realize it's quick, get into the habit, build it, and make it a deep, strong habit. Do it now. Do it right now. Now, there's somebody today listening to what I just said who's looking at this and thinking right now, if I do what he just said, open the email, make a decision, just do the quick stuff. That's all I'd do. That's all I would do all day. I have so many coming in. That's all I would do. I'd never get to my real work. I need you to listen closely to some bad news if you are actually truly in that situation. If that's true, email isn't your problem. What? Of course it is. No, listen closely. Email is the symptom of a much larger problem. You've got a bad job design. And I want you to hear me out. You were hired to do certain things. Your email has so much coming in that you can't even get to those certain things. That's a broken job design. And it's going to require you to do some deep thinking. It's going to require you to probably have to have some conversations, and you might need to do some reallocation of certain things. You might need to just stop doing certain things, and you might need to delegate certain things because your inbox has made it impossible for you to do your work well. And that's not a good place to be. So this is a test point. If you can't get past step 1 and 1A legitimately, it's not email, it's the job. And you got to lift it up. I'm going to assume the vast majority of you can get past step 1 and 1A. What happens if it takes more than a couple minutes? So put it right here. I want it to go on whatever task list you use. If it's Google Tasks, we're going to talk about that in a minute. If it's your own little sheet of paper task list, yeah, that'll work. How many of you still are walking around with a 1990 style planner? Put it on. Any of you got like a cool task app? And did you know you can even make like task-based notes in both OneNote and Google Keep? Super easy. You can just make it and turn it into a checklist. I don't care where you do your task list. All I care is that whatever task list you use, that's where that task goes when it's time to use it. Now, I'm going to show you why I think if you're using Gmail regularly, Google Tasks might be an outstanding option for you to consider in just a moment. Hey, wait a minute, though. It doesn't just have to go on your task. There's another place it could go that would also make sense if you can't get it done right now. And somebody right now just went, yeah, trash can. Actually, it's sort of brilliant. It's not the answer I was looking for, but I do want you to get a really sharp delete button, because sometimes you get stuff and you don't even know where it's coming from or who sent it to you. And if you have no idea where that thing's coming from and it even looks slightly suspicious, just get rid of it. Or we'll talk about the stop sign in Gmail a little bit later. But what the answer I was looking for is your calendar. That's another place that things could go that you can't deal with now, right? So it could go onto your task list if it just needs to be done maybe by a certain date, or it could go onto your calendar if it's happening at a date and time for a certain amount of time. See the difference between the two? Yeah, I'm going to show you a really cool tip about that in a minute. But before we do, I want to finish the logic. So by the way, you get the email, you make the decision. If it's quick, you try to handle it right now if you possibly can. And if it's more than a couple minutes, it goes onto your task list or calendar if you can't delete it. And guess what? Right here, those top three boxes. Let me give you a definition for that. That's called done for now. You're done for now. Would you agree? You're done for now. You either got it done, which means you're done for now, or it's on your task list or your calendar, which means you're done for now with that email. Hold that thought. We're going to talk about done for now just a little bit later. Hey, by the way, you want an easy way to remember this little one right here, by the way? Almost forgot this. Let's go to Ohio. Ohio, only handle it once. So remember up here, decide here, Ohio, task or calendar. Hope you're taking your notes. Now, if you're done for now, that means it's time to either put it away or get rid of it. Okay, now we're going to talk about this in detail here in just a couple of minutes, because notice I said label or file or delete and maybe archive. Sounds complicated. When I used Outlook in the past, I just put it in a folder and then I could never find it. We'll talk about that too. Hey, and by the way, if you don't have a good place to put it, but you need to keep it, how about making a new folder or label so that you can get it put away? All right, now that's the logic. It's not that complicated. As a matter of fact, I would argue advanced common sense. What do they say about common sense? Not all that common. Now, before I go in and show you some of the details of this decision tree, we show you how easy it can be, I would like to have you do a little something for me though. You know, up here at the top, I call this the Taming email decision tree. If you happen to have printed out the handouts for this or something, or you've been feverishly writing this down, you're going to get mad at me right here if you did that. Cross out these two words at the top, taming email. And here's what I want you to put in instead. No, I'm not going to actually do it. Put in the words instead, all workplace inputs. Because they have to be just email you manage this way, or could you also do your voicemail, snail mail, documents, e-document, faxes, text messages, stacks, piles, and clutter using the same basic decision tree? Yes, you could do all of your input streams using the same basic decision tree. So regardless of format, you're going to look at it, listen to it, or touch it once. You're going to decide what you need to do with it. If it's quick, you're going to deal with it now. And if it's not quick, it's going to become part of your task list or calendar, thus meaning you're done for now with that email, which means you either need to put it away or you need to throw it away. And if there's no good place to put it away, you're going to make one and put it there. You want to make this second nature. This needs to become second nature with how you process inputs. Because if you can make this second nature to you and you just make it a habit, you're going to go from looking at each and every item 3 to 7 times down to once, maybe twice max. Especially when you see how easy they have made this for you. Gmail has made this simple. All right? This is not rocket science. Advanced common sense. Let me show you why. Let's go back up to this box. Longer than a couple minutes, it goes on your task list or calendar. Let me show you a little something here. I'm going to go back into my Gmail. Let's go back into the inbox. Now, from my inbox, you'll remember that over here on the side, I can click on the task button and I can see a miniature version of my task list. Now, by the way, little side note, I could also go to my calendar, click on the task button and see my task list, same task list right here. How many of you got dual monitors? Do you have dual monitors? I recommend you should have dual monitors if you're ever doing anything that's multitasking, because it increases your performance and productivity by 30%. So set up that second monitor when you get a chance. I stole mine from an old desktop computer. And let me show you what you can do if you've got email with your task list on one screen and calendar with your task list on a second tab. Pick up tab number 2, grab it and drag it. Drag it over to monitor number 2. Because then you could have email plus tasks on one screen and calendar plus tasks on your second screen. And you've just created a Google dashboard for getting your stuff done and maintaining your focus by seeing your decision tools in front of you. Cool. And if you got the pop-ups coming in when it's important, then you'll look at screen 1. Otherwise, you're focusing on screen 2 to get your work done. Idea. That's not the tip. Let's go back to the inbox. Here's the tip. I got this test email to show you how to do conversions. But my actual task is to give, if you're watching this on YouTube, I'm going to put in the link to my YouTube channel guide in the comments. And if you're watching this on my e-learning channel or another source, I'm just going to make sure it's posted there so that you can get that too. But if you don't see it, send me an email, timelyman@gmail.com, and put YouTube PDF in the subject line, and I'll send you that little handy device. Let me see if I got it here. No, not that. Let's see, file and YouTube guide. There it is. Let's open it up. Come on. I'm playing around with some logos and stuff right here. But it's trying to respond. It's taking a minute. Come on. That one's funny, don't you think? Okay, here, look right here. These are all the videos. And look at, these are all Gmail and Google videos, including, take a look, Gmail templates, settings, Chrome add-ons, how I'm using Google Keep, 3 favorites with Gmail, etc. Now, if I go deeper, take a look down here. OneNote, OneDrive, Zoom, and then I got a whole bunch of these little micro learning videos, including several that are related to Gmail. Okay, so go take a look. Okay, so you're going to get this by sending me an email. Like I said, Randy Dean. You can do randy@randalldean.com or timelyman@gmail.com. Either way, it comes to me. Now that that commercial's over, let's go back to this and go back to my inbox. Okay, I need to send you PDFs. The subject line doesn't tell me what I actually need to do. Does the subject line ever tell you what you need to do, by the way? Soapbox time again. Maybe we should make our subject lines on our emails more accurately reflect the project, person, client, task, activity, or event that they're related to, so the recipient has some idea what it is they're about to get into. Thank you very much. Back off the soapbox. Let's go back to this and let me show you a cool little trick here. Did you know that if you got your task list open here off to the side and you just take this email, pick it up and drag it, you can drag and drop to create a new task. Now, I just made it right there. There it is, under no date. And see, I got a couple in here I got to mess with that I haven't got done. But if I come down here now, I can actually just put my cursor right there inside this and say, whoops, hold on. It jumped forward. Let's try that one more time. Let's do this again. Sometimes you gotta be careful with your mouse. Send PDFs, Gmail program. Oh, that's for all of you. Once you send me your request, if you don't already have it. Oh, wait, but I should actually add date and time. Maybe I should do this on the 11th, when some of you may be watching the instant premiere, after the instant premiere. Yeah, I guess you could put that in chat too, but the problem is if you put it in chat, I'm not going to know how to get it to you. You got to send me an email. And then I hit OK, and now look what that does. Boom, a newly created task. Oh, and wait, it gets even better. Let's say you're looking at this task later and you're like, oh man, I need to read the email to remember what I need to do. If I click on this right here, it takes me right into the email. So the task and the email are connected to each other, and you can find your email if you need it from the task that you just created from the email in about 5 to 10 seconds. That's one option. Option number 2. Maybe I should actually put this on my Google Calendar. Come up here to the 3 dots with the, now wait, I got to show this to you. If, well, geez, where is that? I don't even know what that was. That was weird. What I want to show you is this. If you click on the check box, let me check this. I'm going to check it again. I don't think it's there. Yeah, it's not here. You can't do it from here. These 3 dots don't give you the option I want to share with you. You need to actually open the message and come up to these 3 dots when the message is open. See the difference? Because look, create event. That opens up a new event in your Google Calendar. And we'll just give it a second to let it load. Once again, I can come up here, send PDFs, Gmail program. Time, tomorrow at, well, this should be done around, I don't know. Let's put it up here to now 11:45 p.m. Geez, I'm going way too late. About 12:45 p.m. Yeah, and it doesn't have to be a full 30 minutes is good. Oh, and guess what? Take a look at this. If I page down, let me get myself out of the way here. If I page down, I can actually read the text of the email right here inside this new calendar item that I just created. It took that long. Oh, and wait a second, it gets better. If I wanted, I could turn it into a meeting by just typing in your name and email address right here in like 20 seconds. I can take an email, open it up, click on the three dots, create event, change the title of the event to what it actually is, set the appropriate time, and add your guests to invite them to the meeting that you just created. And if you want to do a virtual and you're using Google Meet, you can do it from right here. There's one more. Hold on. I'm not going to actually put this on my calendar because it's already now on my task list. Leave. But you know what? I'd like to get this Randy Dean guy into my contact database so I'll never forget who I am. This is where you do the thing called the hover. Now watch what happens if I just hover over my name for a second. It brings up my contact info. Now what this tells me, see the little pen over here? This is somebody that's already in my contact database. So now I can edit the info from the contact that's already in there. But wait, let's go back to the inbox. This little hover action. Like here's one of my antivirus tools that I use. I hover over AVG. Notice that I do not have them in my contact info, but if I come right here, I can click on add to contacts and it's going to bring up the contact capability to add this to contacts. It's in that quick and easy. Okay. Now, of course, if I come back in now, take a look. Now I can click on the edit screen and go in and do a full edit to the same contact. You know, I can add in name and company and, you know, more details right there, that easy. Now, one thing I'll remind you is that if you go back to the original email, you might be able to pop in and see if they happen to have a signature at the bottom. Because, wait, let's go to my email, because my email I know has a signature. Because I could just copy and paste a bunch of this right out of here, right into the contact. Right? Easy, easy peasy. So on one screen, you got the contact, next screen, you got the email, grab the stuff from the signature, create the contact. And all I had to do was hover and hit the little contact, add contact icon for the ones that are not already in my database. Wait a minute. So Gmail can very quickly and efficiently convert emails that you can't deal with right now into task items, calendar items, and contact items. Wait, that's right. Yeah, task or calendar, or maybe contacts in a few seconds flat. Now, I'll be the first to admit, what I just showed you might take a couple seconds more than just marking it unread or putting on the star. But that extra few seconds on the front end is going to save you minutes. That turns into hours, that turns into days of rework on the back end. Because when I created those task items and calendar items especially, I changed the description to exactly what I need to do. And this one, send the PDFs to the Gmail program attendees. I don't even need to look at the email for that one. I can just get it done. But I see it, I won't forget it. I think it's a better way. And because I've done that, I don't need to leave it in my inbox. It's time to talk about labels and folders. And folders and labels. Now, if you were a long-time Microsoft Outlook user prior to getting your first Gmail account, what I'm about to show you may have caused you great consternation and confusion. notice that if I select the checkbox on any email, or notice new header, or I actually open the email, same header, that way over here to this side, next to the 3 dots where I could turn it into a calendar item, I have labels. Now let's look at some of the labels. Anna Soccer, automated messages, speaker match, taming email, webinar, blah, 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 blah. And I can create a new label right here. And notice that I could even make a sub-label, which means basically a label inside of a label, and I could nest it under any of the labels I've already created. See, I've got a few little sub-labels. That's pretty cool. So you can have like sub-labels in your labels. Wait a second though. Anna Soccer, automated messages, speaker match, taming email, webinar. Or if I'm done with it, maybe I just put it in a folder. Maybe I don't need a bunch of labels. So let's open up my folders. Anna Soccer, automated message. Wait a second. Those look very similar. Why did I create the exact same list of labels and folders? I didn't. Gmail did that. See, when you make a new folder, it also becomes a label. When you make a new label, it also becomes a folder. Now, when I first started using this after coming from Outlook land, I literally, email sanity guy, "15 minutes, maybe more." Light bulb goes off. That's genius. Let me explain why. If this item very clearly just goes into a single folder, do just that. Put it in the folder. However, have you ever had an email that was related to the main project you're working on, the sub-project you're working on? It's related to one of your most critical clients. You've got a vendor involved with it, and your coworker Bill is involved with it too. And you think to yourself, I could put it in any of those folders. I don't know what folder to put it in. Guess I'll just leave it in my inbox. You ever done that? And then a couple days later, even though you did what you needed to do, you opened it and read it again because you couldn't remember if you did it or not. Ever done that? Know the clinical definition of insanity? What are you doing? However, let's talk about this. 5 possible folders. How do you know which one to put it in? If you use Gmail, it doesn't matter. Who cares? Put it in all 5. What? Go to labels. Hit Anna Soccer, automated messages, speaker match, taming email, webinar, and hit apply. And it just added all those. Notice it's got inbox too. However, if I were to now listen to this closely, come up here and hit this button right here, archive. Let me tell you what happens. It leaves the inbox, but it is now in each of these folders. It's in all 4 folders at the same time. Anna Soccer, automated message, speaker match, taming email, webinar. You don't have to choose. Because it's a cloud-based tool, it's not linear, it's circular. And what that means is you don't have to choose. Put it in everything it's related to, put it in all the labels that make sense now, because when you go back later to find it, it will be there. It will be in all of them at once. That's really cool. It's better than Outlook. If you happen to go to my Outlook, this is one place where I think Gmail is far superior because it doesn't make you have to make the hard choice, and it doesn't make you have to search as much because you don't have to make the hard choice. It's in every place it should be. Not just one place it should be, it's in every place it should be right now at the same time. And when you do it, just remember the critical thing. You want to clear it out of the inbox? You got to hit that button right there after you add your labels. I think it's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. One place, you can use the folder. Many places use the labels because by doing that, you're actually putting it in all the folders because folders and labels are one and the same in Gmail. They actually are. I'm going to hit apply. And now this email has none of those labels. It's just in my inbox. And wait, now let's go back to this. See how easy that is? New email comes in, you make the decision. Couple minutes or less, do those ones right now. Let's go to Ohio, only handle it once. More than a couple minutes, it's super easy to make it into a Google task or Google Calendar item, maybe even add them to Google Contacts. Then it's time to put it away if I need to keep it. And if it goes in multiple places, I'll just make multiple labels and then hit archive. If it goes in one place, I'll just put it in the folder, which is the same as the labels. And the labels are the same as the folders because you don't have to pick. And if there's no good place to put it, well, make one and put it there. Like I said, they have made it super easy for you to be able to do this with the under the hood things. And what I really am hoping that you can do by following this logic, first, remember, step one, tell Gmail which emails and which people are most important. Make those ones pop through your desktop notification settings in your settings. Then get on a regimen and handle everything else doing what you're seeing on the screen right now. And if you follow this strategy when you're going through your email on your time-based regimens throughout the day, hopefully you're going to get significantly more efficient. And then your work that you couldn't deal with now, the quick stuff, the longer stuff will now be in your task list or your calendar where it's much easier to prioritize. What do I need to work on next? And specifically, it will have clear descriptions of exactly what you need to do, which doesn't happen when you turn on the star or, mark it unread. Because when you turn on the star and mark it unread, you got to open it again and read it. Remember why you put the star on it or you marked it unread in the first place. Task list or calendar, if you did it right and you made a good description, 8 times out of 10, you don't even need to look at the email. You just get it done. That's how it adds up. But wait, there's more. There's always more. Randy, a couple minutes or less. Get it done. First time you see it, if you possibly can. Get really good at that. Get ruthless even. Yeah. You can even use this on your boss. Your boss comes walking in. Hey, Randy, got a few minutes? Will this be 3 minutes or less? No, then you must leave. Go. Try it. Tell them the email sanity guy said that. But here's the thing. Wouldn't it be nice if we could flip this box over and have it help you with stuff you're sending out to? Now let's talk about a couple options right now. I'm gonna pop out here. First thing I want to share with you is this. They've added something inside of here in your settings that maybe some of you didn't know. Let's go into settings, see all settings. This time I do want to go under the general tab. If I page way down to the bottom, I want to show you something here. My signature, and I have my basic standard signature. However, if I wanted, let me show you this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to actually take this and just copy this part right here. And I'm going to do a Control C. And now I am going to create a new signature, and I'm going to call it short reply. I'm going to hit create. So I just hit short reply, and now I'm going to do a Control V. So notice if I do that, and I've got this, hold on, let's click on this. I've got that in there. Now what I'm going to do is go back up to my signature, which has my contact info plus all of my other stuff. My programs listing, my e-learning channel, my LinkedIn, my Facebook. Short reply doesn't have all that extra stuff. It's just got my basic contact info. And I'm going to turn that one on right here for replies and forwards. So as you see, I have a more extensive signature for a brand new email, compose. There it is. However, watch this. If I were to go back to my inbox, your changes have not been saved. Okay, I'm going to hit OK. And let's try this and see. I think I might have just actually messed myself up. I'm going to hit reply and let's see what it brought in. Yeah, see, it's the full big one. I didn't commit that signature. So you got to hit save in your settings to make that fully work. My little mess up means you won't make that mess up, because now what I can do is when I'm hitting reply, it's just going to be this part. You can have a longer signature and a shorter signature. The longer signature for brand new emails, a much shorter signature for the other ones. Now let's go back in here to settings. Let's go into settings, see all settings. Let's see if I can fix that right now, if it saved it. Let's see. Yeah, see, it didn't even save it. So remember that you have to save changes at the bottom when you play with your settings. And I'll fix that after the program. I don't want to waste your time showing you that again. But it was just simply hit create new, give it a name, drop in what you want, and then you can change it on reply forward. I also wanted to show you directly below that is where you can turn on your out of office. Now, let me share something with you. Vacation responder on. You could make that for today when you're working if you're having a crazy day. You could just turn it on and say, today, I'm going to be in several hours of meetings. Please have some patience with me. I'll try to get back to your email by early tomorrow latest. Set an expectation sometimes, so they aren't just sitting there staring at the screen going, why didn't he send a reply? Did he even get the email? Oh, he's got a lot of meetings. That's helpful to know. I'll wait till tomorrow. You can set an expectation with this thing too. And so your first day and last day could be basically today and tomorrow, right? Idea, just an idea to help manage expectations. Now, of course, you can also use it when you're actually going to be truly out of the office. I would say even turn it on if you're just going to be gone like a half day at a kids event or something, man. Just let them know. Just one thing though, remember to turn it off when you're back in the office. You don't know how often I'll send an email out to somebody on my contact list and I'll get like a note, Joe Smith will be out of the office on Tuesday, May 14th. It's November. Fix that. Check your voicemail message too. Now, that's not the tip though. Yeah, you can have multiple signatures now, and you can do your vacation reminder to set reasonable expectations. But I want to do one more thing in here. Let me show you something here. I'm going to go to advanced. Inside of advanced, there's several features and options that are in here. Notice right side chat. Move the chat box over to the other side of the inbox. You can enable that. Then your chat will be over here somewhere. You could have an unread message icon to see how many unread messages are in there. You can set up your own. Now that one's sort of cool. Custom keyboard shortcuts. We'll talk about that in a minute. And here's the one though that I really want you to turn on. Hit enable templates. Let me show you why. This is sort of cool. I am going to go into compose. And from the compose screen, let me show you a little something. Here's my standard signature, right? But notice once again, way down here in the far right corner, wish they put the word more, because I bet you so many of you never even noticed that that was there. But if I click on this, I can now go up to my templates. Now, the first time you want to use a template, I'm going to actually show you something here pretty cool. I'm going to hit standard info request and look what this just did. It put in a full-length info response reply. Standardized one, dear, it was a pleasure meeting you at last week's blah, blah, blah. And I can make this all fully personalized and etc. I can even take this top line, do a Control X, and come up here to the top and do a Control V over standard info request. And now, boom, now it's even got a good subject line, okay? But now let me show you a little something here. Let's say I really like what I typed because I just typed it. Wow, that's some good typing right there. That's some good stuff I just wrote. Maybe I should make that a template. Now that I've got that, I can come down here and come to templates. And right here, once you've written it, you can say save draft as template. You could overwrite the templates already there, or you can do save as new. And if you hit save as new, Notice this, it actually took my subject line and put that in as the name. So you could actually avoid having to do that copy and paste by just putting in the subject line that you'd prefer to use as the full name of the template. It's going to auto insert it right there into the subject line. And you can automate your frequent messages. Let me explain to you where this is useful. How many of you have certain messages that are in your sent folder that you're going and looking for 2, 3, 4, 5 times a day because you send them all the time, and you use this one that's in your sent folder as basically your de facto template, but you have to go look for it every time to be able to find it and send it. And you think, I'm so smart, it's going to only take me a couple minutes. This is even faster. Next time you go in and find that message, get that text, drop it into do a copy of from the sent one, drop it into a new email. Hit the compose button, drop in that text, give it the right subject line. Then come down to templates and save draft as template, give it a name. And you just made that email from this point forward push button. You automated your response. And now here's the thing that's really cool about that. If you've done that, how many more of your messages now fit that box? It's a super easy way to greatly speed up your messages. Now, I'll tell you another thing that you could do. Let's say you got certain little blurbs that you use all the time, right? Let's go back to my inbox. Maybe you could, in Google Keep, make a notebook inside of here. Let me show you what I mean. I'm going to open this up. Notice that you can, in Google Keep, by the way, I did a whole like 20-minute video about all the ways you can use Google Keep. You could make a label called blurbs. Blurbs, yeah. And inside of there, you can make a whole bunch of individual notes of all the little blurbs, like things like, here's the directions to our office from the interstate. And here's our office hours, and whatever it is, you know, any of those little blurbs that you find yourself putting into messages all the time, maybe make a blurb column under Google Keep where you have all of your little blurbs as their own separate note. And then you can quickly just go in, grab it from here, jump back in here, paste it into the message you're composing. So I see templates for the full length, fully fleshed out messages, whereas I see maybe using like the blurbs notepad within Google Keep for your little micro stuff. And how much time can you save yourself just by having those things? You know, if you just have those things set up, how much time could that save you over a year? Use it 3 to 5 times a day. You just gave yourself probably half an hour right there. Okay. Now, let's keep moving. I hope if you're watching this on the full recording, you know you could just hit stop right now and go set it up. You could go set up your templates and your blurbs right now. You can stop me and go set up your templates and blurbs. Why did you do that? Okay, I'm going to assume that you just did that. And here's the thing. So let's do a quick review. Use the More button to automatically convert email to task or event. Now remember, I actually did a drag and drop to the task with tasks down the side column. Under More, I think now it only has create event. I don't think it has the task option anymore. So I actually need to fix that slide. Oops. Remember how I did the hover? Mouse over the name, wait a second, see if they're already in your contact list. If they are, do you need to edit anything to make it more accurate? If they're not, hit the add to contacts. And then if you can, since contacts is open on screen number 2, go back to screen number 1 and grab stuff out of their signature to populate the contact very quickly, right? Oh, look, my slide was correct. Can even now drag and drop for tasks. I just wasn't reading far enough. I should pay more attention to my own slides. Hey, and then you turn on your templates. Remember, you go into your settings, go into the advanced area of settings, pass the quick settings bar into the full settings, go to advanced, enable templates. Then when you hit compose, it'll bring up your email composition screen. You have to go to the 3 dots in the bottom corner, the ellipses, which should say the word more instead. Click on that, And that's where you can set it up. And I'd recommend even adding to this, interesting idea, Google Keep for little blurbs. Make a blurbs notebook within your Google Keep and make individual notes for each of your different blurbs. And notice this other idea. You know, you could make a label called automated responses. And whenever you send anything that you think might be a pretty good potential future template, you could give it the label automated response, so you don't have to go through your sent folder next time you decide to actually turn it into a template. It'll be right there waiting for you. Richard Marks. Okay, wait a second. We're getting close to the end. Got a little bit more. Let's talk about settings. Now notice there's a lot of things. We already talked about the signature. We talked about turning on and off your notifications. And like I said, I have my important notifications on for important items. We talked about how the quick settings does the customized theme, but there's other stuff you can do here. If you use Gmail, you really need to go cruise your settings tabs, because that's where there's a lot of goodies. Let me show you what I mean. Let's pop in here. Let's go up here to settings. And remember, quick settings, you can change it from default, comfortable, which is what I have it, or compact. Let's see what that is. Oh, that just makes it smaller. I prefer comfortable. I think default might have the reading panel turned on. Let me see. No, I guess not. Didn't do much anything different. Well, it's probably hiding behind here. Let's see. Looks the same to me. I'm sure there's some difference. I didn't see it. You can also do themes. Be careful with these. It does some weird stuff. That's so pretty. Hard to read though. I usually like to just leave it on the basics because that's just clean. And if you're paging down in here, notice this. You could have your important first. Ooh, neat idea. Neat idea, because remember, if you set up the rules under your filters and you've got those set up, maybe they'll be right at the top. Also, if you keep going down, notice right down here, hold on. I clicked on there and it got it funny. You can turn on and off your conversation view. I'm going to turn that off. Do you want to see the conversation view or not? Now, one interesting thing though, I think if you're following the decision tree, I don't know if you need conversation view on, because hear me out. You have the conversation in the appropriate folder or label, right? I mean, if you've saved every single thing that's been important and you got it out of your inbox, isn't that folder or label the conversation? Which means maybe you don't need conversation view on, which I think just makes it much easier to handle the individual messages. Something to consider. Okay, now let's go past this to see all settings. Let's go down this general tab. First, it's in English. Second, phone number, default country code. Okay, so some basic stuff, but now here's where things start to get interesting. First, if you turn on reply all for default reply behavior, I'm just going to confine you to spam. Stop it. What are you doing? Just stop it. By the way, did you know you can stop reply alls right in their tracks? It's super, super easy. If you're about to send out a message to a large group distribution, put your name and email to field, put all of the recipients down in the BCC field. Because then if they try to hit reply all, it only goes to the names in the to or the CC field. And if you want to be really snarky, don't put your name and email in the to field, put your favorite coworker's name and email in the to field. That's funny. Okay, but don't turn on reply. Just don't. Just stop. Enable hover. Now remember, I did the hover to do the new contact. I think you want to have that one on. Let me see. Send an archive button in reply. Interesting. I could turn that on and then just archive it from right there. I think I would prefer not to do that though, because I might want to label it before I do that. So I think I actually have made that a thoughtful choice. I don't see why you shouldn't have grammar, spelling, and autocorrect, although autocorrect can sometimes do some weird stuff. So maybe that one you could turn off, but these two, like no brainer, turn those on. Once again, notice I got conversational view off. This is interesting, nudges. Which email should you reply to? Which one should you follow up on? I've had these on. I never get a nudge because my inbox is so clean. Think about it. All right, down here, important mail on. Now notice this. Here's where you can set the stars. You can do 1 star. You just have 1. You could do 4 stars. Ooh, and look at that, gives you the important icon and the check mark. Or you can do all stars. We're all stars. Give me a medal. Okay, and below that, hold on. This is a big tip. Now, I bet you went flying right by this. Time out. This could potentially, for some of you, be the biggest time saver you're going to get today. Learn more. Did you know that they've set up keyboard shortcuts for your Gmail, not only for your computer, but also for your Android device or your iPhone and iPad? And what that means is, now I'm just going to show you the computer options because this is your computer Gmail that we're focusing on here. But notice that you can come down and there are shortcuts in all of these areas, all of them. Okay. And notice below this, it says you can actually customize your keyboard shortcuts, and it tells you exactly how to do the thing we showed you a minute ago, custom keyboard shortcuts. Remember, under your settings and advanced, turn that on. However, this is what I want to show you is the ones that are already set up. Before you start making custom ones, see what's already in here. Here's just the ones under compose and chat. See, in all these, when you're using your keyboard shortcuts and they're enabled, this can allow you to do all these things. Now, I'll tell you what I would do. Print it. Print this table on an actual sheet of paper that you set right next to your PC. And take a highlighter and highlight the 2 or 3 that you are most interested in. Add CC, add BCC, insert a link. I want to get good at those because I use those all the time. And once you master those, then take a pen and cross out the ones that you've highlighted. Once you got that down, highlight 2 or 3 more until you got it mastered. Week or 2 later, come in. Then come in and open up this one, print this one, and do the same drill. And if you do this through all of these items, in 6 months, people will come stand behind you and watch you use Gmail. Because you're going to be the Gmail maestro. You're going to be just flying, doing things on your keyboard. They'll be like, how did you do that? Pretty clever right here. You can tell them that, say you're clever because you know all your shortcuts. And if you ever see that there's one that they don't even have, then you can make your own. Seriously, if you're using Gmail every day and you're doing heavy lifting work in your Gmail, and that heavy lifting work that you're doing in your Gmail requires both speed and efficiency, heck yeah, dive into these and learn a couple a week until you really master them, because it's going to save you so much time in the long run. You don't have to learn them all, just learn 1 or 2 every week or 2. All right, now you already know about signatures and vacation responder, but wait, there's more. Now here's where you can go manage all of the labels. I'm not going to go too deep into this. You can see all the ones that you got and where it's set up and this and that. Wow, okay, labels. This one's sort of cool, inbox, and let me show you why. I found something in here right there, enable reading pane. So you can see the reading pane when you open the email, so you can sort of see what's going on inside the email if you prefer. I don't normally turn that on. I like to have to actually click it to open it up and read it. Personal preference thing, but if you like to have a little preview, that might be worthwhile. Now, this is just sort of your account information and how you can import from a separate email account. We already covered the filters. It can do more, like I said, than just making the rule off the person. You can do it off the subject, and then you can create the filter once you give it the specifications that you're looking for. Remember that you can also like automatically delete messages. You can automatically archive messages utilizing that tool. So get in here and play around with these. I would think setting up not only your important ones, maybe automatically labeling some, and maybe automatically deleting some. Not bad. Add-ons. This looks like if you're a developer. So I'm not a developer. I think there's plenty that I can work on even without being a developer. Next to this, though, sort of interesting. If you are using Gmail also for your workplace or personal chat, you can turn that on here so that you got even more distractions than squirrels coming into your inbox. And under advanced, we already talked about this. Remember, if you want to do your custom keyboard, it's right here below templates. Make sure you do your templates because that's a huge thing. This would allow you to even work on your email when you're offline. So you could probably open emails, read emails, and write your draft responses waiting to get back to the internet. And then, of course, out here are your themes, which you can then set theme, which is going to be very similar to what I showed you under quick settings, remember? Yeah, that was the one I picked under quick settings. If you want to make your screen fancy. I don't use that. I like simple. But get in here and play. Learn what's hiding in here because there's goodies in here. I especially like some of the goodies and the keyboard shortcuts, as well as setting up the filters for blocking addresses, automatically deleting, automatically labeling, and of course, making very clear what the important messages are, because it's the important messages that will make it so that I don't have to look at everything right now and I can get on the regimen to do this. By the way, if there's anything that you're using in there that I didn't mention that you think is super, super handy, please send me an email, timelyman@gmail.com, and tell me what it is, where it is, and what you're doing with it. Because if it's really cool, I might add it into the next time I teach this. Thank you very much. Now, let's talk just a real quick little thing on etiquette here. I'm going to get back on my soapbox again. I mentioned the subject line, something to do with the project, person, client, place, activity, event, or task. And then when you open the email and you start writing it, hey, let's make your email good. At the very top, tell them why they got it. And then below that, tell them what they need to know, what they need to do, when they need to have it done by. Because if you do that, and you do that for each recipient on the message, making it clear who has something to do and when it needs to be done by, you're going to have a lot less mistakes, errors of omission, and he said, she said's going on. Now, if somebody's just copied for general information, make that clear. Copied so you would be up to date. You have no tasks. Yay, I love that message. Did you really need to copy me though? All right, next thing. Interesting little tidbit here. I actually have 4 emails right now. Now I got my Outlook account. That's my long-term domain one that I did for my business when I started the business. I now have my new Outlook account that comes from Microsoft, which sets up my full 365 suite. Yes, I do training on all of that too. And I have a version just for Outlook users. Like I said, contact me if you're interested. I also have my Gmail account, which I'm mostly using more for personal stuff, but a little bit of work bleeds over into it because I'm teaching with Gmail. Then I have an old Yahoo account, like one of the very first internet accounts I ever had. And I kept it. Because what happened was I started using Outlook and then I started using Gmail and I still had my Yahoo and I realized, my gosh, look at all the junk that's in this Yahoo account now. I should just keep it active so I can put that email address anytime I'm signing up for anything on the web so that it keeps all the junk and spam from getting into my work and my personal email accounts. In essence, I'm using my Yahoo as a de facto spam filter. And I try really hard not to use my work account or my Gmail account for online submissions. I do use my Gmail account for my Google-based submissions with Google. because then it's all connected to my devices and tools. Bonus tip, you get that really funky message that promises you $53 million from the Bank of Nigeria. Or if you look at it and it's got a funky, weird attachment with some funky web links, what do you do with that email? Yep, you open it up, you respond to that person in Nigeria, you click on the links and the attachments. No, 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 don't do that. Here's what you do. It's real simple. Just come in here, in your inbox, click on the funky message, and click on the stop sign. Report spam. Because once you report it as spam, if I'm not mistaken, I think it leaves your inbox and goes into the spam folder. But here's the beauty of the cloud. If you and 2 million other Gmail users do the same thing to that email, Gmail now knows that's a spammer and it won't even come into your inbox anymore. Power of all of us helping each other out. It's pretty amazing. Okay. Wow. Final thought idea time. Remember how I said there's 4 ways your inbox owns you? Remember, number 1, you're looking too often. Number 2, you're looking at the same messages over and over. Number 3, your inbox is just a big, heavy, cluttered mess, and you can go watch the deeper video on that if you'd like. However, now that you've got some ideas about folders and labels and filters, maybe you can speed up that process. But what's number 4? Here's number 4. Stop checking email first thing in the morning. Now, I want to ask you a question. I want you to think, is that the very first thing you do? You walk in, you turn on your computer, you jump right into your inbox. Most people do. Could you try something for a week? By the way, a number of you, you're actually liars, because how many of you grabbed the cup of coffee before you opened even the email? First, I do the coffee, then I do the things. But let's finish this thought. When you do your email first, aren't you basically just opening the door to your office or your home workplace and saying, come on in, squirrels, take over? You're letting the squirrels take over. Email squirrels. The important stuff is in your task list or calendar. Shouldn't you look at those first? Think about this. What if you instead opened your calendar, looked at today and then several days into the future, looking to see what's coming, seeing if there's anything you need to start getting ready for. Maybe you add something to your task. And if you see any big open blocks of time on your calendar, maybe you block an appointment with yourself to work on one of your more important projects. That's called strategic time blocking. And what I just described will take a minute or 2. And then wait, it's not time to get into your email yet, because maybe you should go into your task list and identify and move to the top, maybe by using the due dates, your most important tasks for today, so they're right at the top of your list. And the combination of the two should take about, what, 3 to 5 minutes? But now, before you even look at your email, you're very clear on what's happening with your time in the next few days, and you have a clear idea of what your most important items are for today. And doesn't that help put email into more of a proper perspective about its true importance and urgency? When you've got the underpinnings of your time and your tasks? Try it for a week, see if it helps. And you want to make it automatic? Let me show you a little something here. Not a lot of people know you can do this. Did you know you can actually go into your settings for your Chrome browser too? And look at this. Now, first, let me go to my calendar and notice I've got it on the 1 week view. What I'd like you to do is come up here and do a Control-C of that URL. Just get that URL, that web address, into your clipboard. Then come up here to the 3 dots for your Chrome browser and go down to Settings. This is the settings for your browser, not your Gmail, your browser. And notice one of the options is on Startup. Open a specific page or set of pages. Google Calendar. Now watch this. If I want, I'll actually show you this. This is sort of cool. I'm gonna go to my inbox. Boom. Control-C. Now let's go back to my settings. Add a new page. Control-V. Add. So I've got calendar, first tab, inbox, second tab. Let's see what happens. I'm gonna hit close. I'm gonna close my Chrome. And I'm gonna reopen my Chrome. Do it. First thing I see is my calendar. My Gmail is right there, but it's the second tab in. I'm going to look at my time first, automatically. Try it for a week, see what happens. Did I promise to give you way too much stuff? I absolutely did. Let me tell you, Rome wasn't built in a day. Now, like I said, if you watch this recording straight through, soak it in. I hope you've taken a few notes of the most important things. Go back to those items and watch them more closely. I will probably at some point put in timestamps in the description so that you can jump to the different parts of this if you're seeing this on YouTube. But go to those places, practice the lowest hanging fruit, most obvious, biggest benefit skills first, and then slowly build your set of skills beyond that. And then consider whether you even want to go deeper and look at your capabilities with the other functions like Google Calendar, Google Tasks, Google Contacts, Google Keep. I have some free stuff out on the YouTube channel, but I have a more sophisticated course on time management in the cloud using Gmail and Google out on my e-learning academy, as well as obviously all of my similar related programming for Outlook and 365 users. So, you know, figure out what's going to be the best thing for you. Do the best basic ones first, master those skills first. And then if you're finding great benefit from this, go deeper. Tell people about it too. If this has been helpful and useful, get other people to watch this. Then they learn about me and it helps my business grow too. Thank you very much. You want to get some more info? There's obviously my book that's out there. And I actually put a PDF version of my book inside of my e-learning program, full-length version of it, plus a highlights version. Then obviously I've already mentioned David Allen's Getting Things Done. I'll give you a couple other options that I want you to think about. One book, Malcolm Gladwell, is called Blink. It's all just about the speed and pace of information these days. This book I think is just awesome. Let me grab it. It's called Clutter's Last Stand by Don Aslett. And it's out there on you. I saw it's on Amazon. It's all about your relationship with your junk and your clutter. It's a fun read. He's got like comics all the way through it, but it just really makes you think about stuff. You can obviously get out to my YouTube channel. If you're seeing this on YouTube and you like this video, please like it. Maybe make some comments underneath, additional tips and ideas of what you like to do, things you like to share, what questions you have. I do check my comments and try to respond fairly frequently. Subscribe to the channel. This is obviously a really long program for my channel. Most of my tips are in the 3 to 10 minute range. I do have a Taming the Email Beast Facebook page, but I probably do most of my social work out on LinkedIn. And so if you're seeing this and you want to stay connected and see what I'm doing, follow me out on LinkedIn. And with that, here's a bunch of my other programs. Many of these are out on that e-learning channel. And with it, I'm going to say, we are done. Wait, let me do this. We're done. Thank you for your time. Hope you had fun. Time to turn this off. Go clean up your inbox. Jeez, got too many in there.